Okay, today I'm going to be reviewing a really, I think, a really well done and important book, and that would be Jon Krakauer's Missoula, Rape and the Justice System in a College Town. So, obviously by the title, this book is about a fairly significant but also somber topic. So feel free to skip this video if you are not in the mood, or if this is something that could potentially upset you or whatever. You know. And also, I would say that consider reading this novel to begin with, even if it's a topic that is very hard for you to talk about or to deal with. But if it bothers you, I understand. So I'll talk to you later. For anyone who's continuing, this book is massively important and well done. Just point blank, go out, get a copy, borrow a copy, find a copy, pirate a copy, read it. Now, I'm not saying everything he did was perfect, but I think because he is a well-known, widely read author who's chosen, who felt convicted to approach this topic and to dig and find information and present it to as many people as he could, I think it's important. I don't think that he's the best or the most qualified per se, but I think it's important that he used the platform that he has to talk about the issue, and that will potentially influence more people to do more research than they would have before. If you don't know, Jon Krakauer is well known for writing books like Into the Wild, Into Thin Air, Where Men Win Glory, Under the Banner of Heaven, and Three Cups of Deceit, as long as being a contributor to magazines and different various groups. I personally own all of Jon Krakauer's books, and I think they're all great. So I was very excited to hear that he was releasing a new book. And about the topic, I thought, perfect. He's very interesting, and he's very meticulous in his research. Although some people try to discredit him occasionally, like with Into the Wild, where there's speculative things about what happened, and I mean there was a little license taken in that because of the nature of what he was researching. But for the most part, he's a well-respected person to report on issues. And so essentially he picked Missoula, Montana, the home of the University of Montana, as a case study because between January 2008 and May 2012, there were 350 sexual assaults reported to the Missoula Police Department. And of those, very few were handled properly either by the police department or the University of Montana, because the vast majority of them had to do with students at the University of Montana or involved in some way the University of Montana. And the Department of Justice ended up investigating. It became a problem. It became a nationally talked about issue in Missoula because there was high profile members of their football team kind of being acquitted for rape. At one point you have the county prosecutor who's she works for the county, and she was high up in the prosecutor's office and was with the head of the sexual assault crimes division, leave her job as a prosecutor, go into private practice, and then defend the star quarterback of the University of Montana in his rape trial and get him acquitted. Also, while she was working for the county at one point, she of her own accord went to the university's university court and defended another student that was being accused of rape. I think one of the statistics he throws out is that over the course of her career, she boasted a 99% success rate, but she only prosecuted 12% of the cases that were presented to her. So I mean, anyway, you have to read the book. I don't want to get into the fact of just one person being a bad prosecutor or a bad person. It's more important than that, and it's a bigger issue. Because what Krakauer does is he takes these examples of this one town and these people, and these handful of people that he chooses to highlight their stories and kind of like show you their whole process. And what he's saying is that these aren't exceptions to the rule. This is the norm. And it says that in the book that statistics have shown that the number of sexual assaults and rapes that happen in Missoula aren't above the norm. They're about average for a college town of similar size, which is just mind-boggling. Just on the back flap here, it says, a DOJ report released in December 2014 estimates that 110,000 women between the ages of 18 and 24 are raped each year. And there's so many statistics in this book that were like mind-boggling and just shocking to me. And I think towards the end, Krakauer states, and some people have criticized him for his attitude in like the press release, like the press tour for this book. He's kind of had this like, oh shucks, like I didn't know it was a problem. But I think that's partially because he's trying to like not make the book so threatening to people, especially the audience that wouldn't normally read about rape or what causes it, but who would read a Krakauer book because of his name or because they've read Into the Wild or something. But in the end, he talks about how he was upset with himself when a close friend of him and his told him that she had been sexually assaulted twice and that it had had a very deep negative impact in her life, and that he became very upset because he realized he had never really thought about how often or how common sexual assault was and the effect it has on the victims and the process of finding justice or closure. So he decided he needed to do research to educate himself, and through that process decided to write this book. And other interesting fact is that this book was originally supposed to be published in the fall of this year, but that it got moved up due to the whole like Rolling Stone debacle where they wrote an article and then it turned out to be all like BS, and that it was really embarrassing, and people were kind of using that as an argument to like see like false reports happen all the time. And Krakauer felt it was prudent to publish the book earlier to kind of get the conversation back on track, potentially, which you can think what you want about that. But anyway, I highly suggest reading this book. Definitely a 4-star book or a 5-star book. 5-star. If it's not 5 stars on my Goodreads, I need to go change it. But it's a brilliant book. I think his most significant, his most important work. And I felt like he was really going out there and he's swinging for the fences on this one. This isn't so much a review. That's not the important part of this. The important part is suggesting that you should read this book and read other things, and let's all just like do our best to educate ourselves and work to fix the problem, because it's ridiculous. Anyway, the one thing I will say is that there are graphic accounts in this book of what happened. Nothing's watered down, so be prepared if you're going to read it. But I think it's important to read it. Anyway, feel free. I would love to hear comments below. Don't be a dick, and don't say anything. I'll delete anything. I don't think generally anyone who watches me, I'm not big enough that anyone's gonna like. I don't think I warrant trolling, but if you're gonna be a dick, I'm gonna delete anything you say. Like, so whatever. But yeah, I would love to hear anyone's thoughts. If anyone else has read the book, to hear what you thought about it. Comments below, please. Anyway, as always, happy reading and have a good life.